Hey YouTube! Bit of a change of plan today. I've been totally ripped off from my car and I'm just gutted. Absolutely, totally taken over my life the last week. And anyway, yeah, so here is my Grant. No idea what model it is. Bass. I've only ever seen one of these. I might have seen a blue one, possibly. But then I think it might have been the wrong way around. I think it might have actually been this one, but it was like, because it's silver, it looks blue just now. Whereas if you put it now, it's looking sort of goldy. So it might have been that I saw. Grant talked about these guys before. It was a guitar shop in Glasgow, but they imported guitars from Japan and got their own name put on it. So you'll see it a lot round about here. They sold them in other parts of the country as well, but they were still badged Grant. You see a lot of Les Pauls. Sort of, still they're Japanese, the Les Pauls, but they're not really good. They're good. They've got the cheapest hardware you can, and when you're buying these things from the factory, you had the choice of, do you want the premium hardware or do you want the budget hardware? Do you want the really budget hardware? And so the Grants generally have the really budget hardware. So, the tuners are they just look like normal tuners. They look like the ones you get in the Japanese guitars. Apart from they're just made them out of less metal, so they're and they've got fake humbuckers and all that. But there was another run which that these are later on. 85 is my go-to year for these because, as I said, Grant used to have a guitar shop in Glasgow. There's one in Byers Road, and one of you guys, bought their West Tone Thunder in Grant's music, and these were on the wall, and they bought it in 1985. So I'm going for around about then. I think maybe possibly a couple of years earlier than that, maybe 83, 85, somewhere in there. These are odd guitars though. This particular model, because this isn't it's not a copy of anything. It is definitely something to do with this. This is a Yoshi, which is impossible to find Yoshi guitars because if you type in Yoshi guitars, you get Mario's pal, the wee dinosaur playing a guitar, stickers and stuff. So this is the guitar version. I've actually got, I've got a silver. I've got a Grant, exactly the same as this, apart from it's not sunburst and it says Grant in the headstock. But right down to the shape of the truss rod cover, the headstock, definitely the same guitar, same sort of. It's got like an Aria Pro type smooth joint thing. I think Aria Pro called it that. Kind of basically, it's got a bit of an angle bit there for better high fret access. I mean, if you look back in my videos, you'll see the video. This is how I know my pal Wayne, actually, because I had a Grant Les Paul, ended up talking to him, and a Glasgow postman found one of them in a skip, just with a single pickup and a Strat trem, and two knobs instead of three. But that guitar, and obviously no pickup selector switch. And I picked it up for him and sent it down. And I thought it was the ugliest thing I've ever played, but it was actually really pretty good. And then he took it to his luthier friend Nigel, some famous luthier down in Leicester, and I couldn't believe how good quality it was. So I was like, okay. And then eventually I ended up buying one myself. I bought a silver one, basically in Bathgate, which was the same colour as this, apart from it's a single humbucker and it's got a trem on it. And so basically, of all the ones I've ever seen, I've actually owned a couple. Well, I've owned one red one, which I sold to my pal. I got it in a trade for an amp. You guys, you like those Grant guitars? I'll trade it in because I don't know what they're worth. I don't know. They don't have the name on them. It is Japanese, though. It's also got the Yamaki type tuners, which have got a different. See, like normally to adjust the tension, you've got a screw in the end. These have got like a wee. You can see the wee hole there. Use like a spanner to screw in this shaft bit to change the tension. Looks like there was a sticker. It says ASN2 on it. Maybe it's an ASN2. Don't know. It's written in biro on the back of a sticker, so it's not. It's not, and there's no serial number on it. They didn't have to do it these days. But if you could find one of these or a Yoshi equivalent, so the grand total of this type of guitar I've seen badge Grant is this bass, possibly a blue bass or a blue guitar somewhere. I can picture it. There was I remember it being a turquoise blue, but it wasn't. It was a more like the colour of that settee, kind of darker blue, metallic-y type thing. Candy apple red and a silver. I've seen two candy apple red ones like that. with the 2 pickups. I've seen two single pickup candy apple red ones. The one that I got for Wayne out of that skip, and the one that I sold to my pal, and this bass. And that's all I've ever seen of these anywhere. So there must be more of them kicking about. These are the ones you might be able to find quite cheap because no one's going to know what it is. Also, the shape is... to be honest, I've grown to like it. I originally thought it was the ugliest guitar I've ever seen, but actually I quite like it. So you get a 3-piece neck, like a West Tone Thunder, basically kind of like a West Tone Thunder. Full scale. It's got a bit of a chip out the neck. I never even noticed before. But that wasn't me that did that. Yeah, so if you can find one of these, they're totally... Don't be mocking them for looking perhaps a little bit bland or something. You just got a full-on P-bass. Also get a switch on the guitars like that. Well, that's a Yoshi one, but the Grant one's the same, but just one colour, doesn't have the sunbursts. It's got a dual coil split on it, and even the single pickup one's got a switch, which is a coil split switch. And it's got the standard Gotoh DiMarzio copies P-bass pickup. It's like the same pickup I've got on all my basses. They all just seem to be the same pickup. It's like, why would you get another one where you can get a Gotoh DiMarzio copy, which is just the same as a DiMarzio, or you can get a cheaper one? Is really, I think, where the options kind of then. I suppose you could probably have bought a DiMarzio, but it probably cost you half the price of the bass. But a really nice rosewood board as well. I mean, it looks like ebony. Look how black it is. I've not cleaned this up or anything. I've just had this. This has just been hanging about in a bag upstairs for the last couple of years. So I'm going into my current favourite amp, the Roland Bass Cube. I'll try not to stand in front of it so you can hear it. I feel I'm plugged into something strange. That was session mode. Also, it's got a fancy looking bridge on it as well. It's just like, just a bit over engineered. It's got big solid blocks that it sits on. I think this must be slightly cheaper than the other quite commonly found Japanese bridge, which is basically got with brass blocks. So this is probably a slight concession there. You do get brass saddles in the other one. They're talking about the Yoshi guitars. So there's also something. I mean, this is going for. I mean, of all the experts in the world on this particular guitar that actually talk about these things, me and my pal Wayne probably know more about it than anyone else does. There was Martin, the acoustic guitar company, did at one point try out, is it a Martin Sigma guitar, and it never went very far. I don't even know if it was ever officially released, but it looks like this. So what Wayne think is that Martin Sigma thing, Martin lost interest, so somebody bought it up and made them as Yoshis, and then I'd imagine Grant's got a hold of, at some point, unfinished ones or something, maybe like a couple of pallets of them, or a container load of ones that never sold, that they've got painted in their own colours and put the Grant logo on it. This is a sort of later on Grant logo. Normally it looks a bit more like Gibson. That's got like a... That G reminds me of a thing my mum used to have, which was like a glass thing. I don't think it was ever expensive. I always remember being a kid and always been very... Well, mum and dad were always very wary of me when I was playing on the fireplace and shit with the toy cars and stuff, in case I broke the purple thing, which was like some sort of meths in it. So it was like kind of the same shape as that G. And if you held onto the bottom bit, the heat in your hands made the alcohol or the meths in it boil, and it kind of worked like it filled up the top bit with the purple liquid. I've since found them years ago, and they weren't expensive, so I don't know why that one was. Maybe they were expensive in the 70s or the 80s or something. But also Yoshi, Wayne showed me actually when I was down just last week. He's got a through neck one, a Yoshi one. So I think the Yoshi one, and it seems to be made of the same wood as the Washburn the fancy Washburns. So I'm not really sure exactly where they came from. I have seen one of those Martin Sigma ones that was like a blue burst, which makes me think probably just gives you the year more than actually who made it. Because I know Tushin made Washburn Wings, the Raven, which is very similar to this. It happens to be sitting right next to it. It's got the same bridge and the same pickups, and they're very similar. We don't really know who made that. Could be a company called Dyna, finished off by Yamaki. So we're not really sure exactly. But that's half the fun about these things. Actually, there's a comment. I'm going to do a video on people making comments, and one of them was on one of the wings ones, the Washburn wings. And it was like, Pierre, you fucking folk, like, you disgust me. It's like, if I had that, I would know the dimensions of every bolt and where everything came from. And you're just like, what? Right, go find out about this. Tell you what, try and find out about this bass, right? Or the guitars without finding me online. But you said you would just find out every dimension. Right. Nobody knows. They didn't keep records of this crap. This stuff. You know what I mean? It was like there was maybe dodgy things going on, I don't know, but there's no records for any of these came from. I'm sure somebody in Grants and who used to work in a guitar shop probably knows, but they're not online telling people about it. Or maybe they're just not interested. It's one of those things that it's like, I'm only interested in Gibson Les Paul, so it's a very, very common opinion to have. But people won't even look at a guitar. It doesn't matter. What makes that? Squire? Oh, fucking no, I've got a Fender. It's like try playing them. I mean, I can't. It's even got the knobs I like, the ones with the wee notches on it. But I really can't fault this bass, apart from it's maybe not the prettiest one. Maybe if they'd made it a bit more, I don't know what they could have done with it. There's only so much. It's balanced. It's actually quite well balanced, but it needs this horn. So why don't you make it an SG shape? If you made it an SG shape, it would be super neck heavy. I mean, it's slightly on the horizontal side, but it's enough to hold it. And I'm using a seatbelt strap, which don't have any grip on them. I suppose it's do you want? It's not a coil split on this. It's a series parallel switch. So here it is in the position it's in just now, which I think is probably most likely to be normal P-bass mode. Really high output. Now if I switch it, to me that's a kind of pointless switch. Might be, I don't know, maybe if you're trying to do something a bit more subtle. I'd say it's got more punch in the upper position, so that's why I'm assuming it's humbucker mode. But it definitely does something. Maybe a little bit softer. Because, I mean, to be honest, if you've got a P-bass pickup, not very many things you can do with it. You do have two coils, so you can have them in series, you can have them in parallel, and you can have them out of phase. And I suppose technically you can have them out of phase, in parallel and out of phase. So I suppose technically you can get 4 sounds out of them. But the Vox bass I was playing, the White Shadow, a couple of weeks ago, it's got a switch in it as well, but it does a phase thing, which makes it sound like you're playing through a wah-wah with the toe down. Makes it sound really thin and honky sounding. So that's not what this is. Kind of, to be honest, a useless sound. I couldn't think of any use for it. I understand. I don't know, maybe if you're playing along with keyboard players or something like that, it's like I'm pretty much old school, and it's like I like a P-bass, and it's like you can have a jazz bass, yeah, totally. People love their jazz basses, but to me a P-bass just sounds better. It's very easy to use. It's like, what do? You turn the volume up to full, right? Okay, and that's it. Or you can, if you want it, and you've got a tone control to get right down to. I just heard my phone beep. Don't know what it is. So I was going to take this into the Black Sabbath band last night, but I never got my car back. Turns out the guy's been lying, just barefaced lying, not like something blah blah blah. It's just like that was today. I was getting it back today, might be going over to J-Pax's and working. Oh, it'll be done by 10 o'clock, no problem. I took it into the, I'll put it in first thing in the morning to get it fixed, to get its MOT. Right, okay. Phoned him at lunchtime. Oh, I dropped it off at 10 o'clock this morning. It's bound to be, it'll be getting done soon. I'm right. And then I just happened to walk past, looked in, sitting up on the fucking ramp, no wheels on it, like that. That's not been in for an MOT this morning. That was just a total basic lie, and it's like, that's it, I've had enough. Fuck it. I can't abide. You always give people. I mean, he's been bullshitting me from the start, but it's one of those things that I always try and give people the benefit of the doubt, and then when it's just I don't understand how you can just barefaced lie to someone's face. I totally can't do it. It's like just like you don't feel bad about that at all. You don't feel that you did that, and then you know what I mean, you hit your head or you stand in a dog shit or something. You kind of deserved it, man. You know what I mean? If that's how if you just go through life like that, it's just like totally in a rage about it, and as I said, it's been totally all consuming. It make me ill, just, and I still don't have it back. Keep playing that Snowblind disco version. It just I've started humming it now, which makes it worse, but that's the first time I've played it in 2 weeks, but I can still hum it, and it's still in my head. It's just like it's going to be a disco hit. I've kind of talked to the guitarist in the Sabbath band, going, he's got a big he spent last year kind of building his ultimate recording studio, and it's like he's in another band so he actually gets to use it. But we're doing Black Sabbath songs. It's like, really, is there any point in being a Black Sabbath band and then having a proper recording? Like, well, there is if it's disco Snowblind. I just think it might go. It's the sort of thing that could go viral because I think it's genuinely going to be quite a good song. Stick some disco drums on. I was actually talking last night. Sorry, I'm just rambling on. I'm glad it's actually taking my mind off things a little bit. And I do love playing the bass. I think I might go for something see disco drums. Oh, I want that. Like just that and a wee shit pedal. Why can somebody just make me a wee pedal that's just a very simple? Okay, the tap tempo thing's quite handy. Just really put that foot switch and just have that one disco beat. It would help so many people playing, because you can play in along with a disco beat. Just rather, obviously you can just use a click track, but it doesn't really, just like beat 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 bop beat 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 bop. Doesn't it? You're not really going to impress anyone with that. Might be good for actually learning to play the notes in time, but having douche douche douche. There we go. We're off. It's amazing. Yeah, so if anyone knows anything about these or has one or remembers them being in Grant's guitars in about 1985, I can't remember who it was that said they bought their West Tone Thunder in there, because Grant were the Grant shop did the West Tones as well, round about the same kind of time, just before the crash, whenever the yen tanked or went up or whatever it was that happened, and suddenly Japanese guitars became more expensive. That's why suddenly everyone went for the Japanese guitars they've just shot up in price, and it's like, well, thing is, they were kind of awful good anyway, so they don't need to be as good as that. What I want is £100 guitar. It doesn't have to be a really good £100 guitar or £150 guitar. It just has to be a £100 guitar, and that's basically, it became a race to the bottom. And to be honest, it's still kind of there with your modern Harley Bentons and stuff like that. They're really just, oh, isn't this wonderful? Look at it, and it's like, it's not well built. That happened in the late 80s, and all the big brands are had basically suffered from it. This race to the bottom. See how much money can we make making these guitars, not how good a guitar we can make. Whereas all the Japanese companies in the 80s had a sort of rivalry going, where it's like, right, $300, we're going to make a better guitar for $300 than what Ibanez is doing. And Ibanez were like, oh well, we'll for the $300 we'll do better than Aria Pro, and they were fighting trying to make the best guitar for $300, not trying to make the most amount of money from it. But I mean, this is a thoroughly pro guitar. Again, like a lot of the ones like this, you're up over £1,000 to get something equivalent now, new, without a problem. Partly due to the fact that, wood is scarce. I mean, that rosewood is, I mean, you could pass it off as ebony. It's the best piece of rosewood I've ever seen. It's absolutely jet black. It's got no grain in it whatsoever. It's amazing. And I suppose when you've got a guitar like this, I suppose a little bit the same with something like that. There's very little in it. So if you use all the best bits, you might as well, to make it cheaper by not having binding, by not having inlays, by not having a tremolo. I suppose it's a bass, so it wouldn't have a tremolo, I suppose technically it'd be 10 or 20 quid cheaper because it's only got one pickup. I think it was maybe later on that the PJ thing came out. The PJ, I don't know when the first officially actually made PJ bass turned up. Maybe for jazzers or slapping funk or some slapping pop, things that I don't really play. I did have a bit of a theory about it though, thinking mostly about Duran Duran, what's his name, John Taylor. Basically his Aria Pro's not. It's kind of closer to this than it is to a modern P-bass or something, his one, because it's Japanese, it's from the same province, Nagoya. There's one wee bit of Japan where all the factories are. It's kind of more like that, and it's like that when you're thinking about something like Duran Duran. I think there's quite a lot of synthesizers, and the thing I played along with a synth player before, and they can go lower than that. So up until the synthesizer came out, I don't even think it really works for the Hammond organ player, but once the synthesizer came out and you started getting proper bass notes, but you could go lower than E, then suddenly this isn't the bit that you can always hear yourself on a bass, whereas if you're playing in most normal bands, you've got a couple of guitars, drums, singing and all that. These notes are all your frequency on as a bass player, whereas if you've got a synthesizer, he can do those frequencies and then you can't hear yourself. So I think that's why, to get there, the sort of this popping and slapping was kind of so you could still hear the bass, hence you need a jazz bass pickup or something like that. The thing is, one of those things that, see, if this had just been a P bass, basically imagine this exactly the same woods, but it was P bass shape, it'd be £1,000. So in some ways it's good that it's not. It's a little bit odd, a little bit different, because everyone would know what it was. I always feel the same way about the West Tones as well, the West Tone Spectrums and stuff like that. If they just look like Strats, they'd be the same price as the Tokais and the Grecos and Burnleys and all these brands that just made copies. They're thousands of pounds, cost the same as a new Gibson because they're better than them. They're the same guitar as this, apart from not this shape. So there is something to be said for buying odd shaped guitars, just purely because they're cheaper. because they're not as desirable, because your internet surfer goes, that's not a Gibson Les Paul, it's not worth anything. Like that. Okay, it's a corker, you're right, it's a corker. I mean, yeah. I'm sure actually I'm sure there's people that could pick up the corker and they would be that entrenched in their view, they could probably play it and look at it and go, oh, the Gibson's better. I'm sure there's people that could do that. It wouldn't be true, they would know, but they would still, once you're invested in something so you can't possibly, no, it can't possibly be wrong. I'll just believe it beyond what my eyes and ears and fingers can sense. I'll just believe it. Because it is. No comment. But I've been playing my wee, in fact I forgot to get it back off Jen today, my wee red bass. I've not had it for 2 weeks now. It's difficult because I really like playing it because it's wee. Part of it's just easier to deal with. This is a big thing. I think, to be honest, the 34-inch scale does sound better than the 32 or the 30. But, I don't know, something about the wee red bass has just got like a certain joyousness to it. This is a bit serious. But again, it comes down to, it's like, would I gig this? Damn right. Would I gig this and be totally happy about it? Damn right. It sounds fucking amazing. I still need to at one point. I think I did it. When I first got this, I remember taking it into the studio with I was in two bands at the time. I took it in with Cranking House, and I got Nick to play this, and I played the silver, the guitar version. And I think I was going there. I don't know if I ever actually got down to doing it with Craig in the Sabbath band, but I would play this, and he would play the guitar version, just for play Paranoid or something, just for a laugh, like for a video. I never actually got to it yet. I've just got too many guitars. That's the problem. It's like, how many basses do you need? Well, I need two because I'm in the Black Sabbath band. I need one that's tuned down to C sharp, and one that's in normal tuning for depending on which era of Black Sabbath we're playing. But need one bass. And even if you're one of those people, one of those weirdies who's got guitars and plays guitars, and he played for 20 years or whatever like that, and don't have a bass. What about a really, really nice one? It doesn't matter if you don't really know that much about the basses. You can look at this and just like, you're sitting there, oh, I've got my Epiphone Les Paul. And then I've got my classic vibes, the expensive one. I've got that. I've got my 335. And then I'll just pick up a cheap bass just for messing about with. When I've got my pals over or when I'm doing recording. And it doesn't matter if you've never even seen a bass before. You're just going to look at this and go, my God, this is so much better than just looking at it. You can tell. And obviously when you start playing it and listen to it, you can tell even more. But so, if anyone's got any of these, I just as a reference point, and I was a bit disappointed. So as far as I'm aware, as I said, 4 guitars and 2 basses, I think. Although it might have been this bass. See, I've seen a blue one somewhere and I can't think where it was, because this is actually the one bass that I saw, because Wayne pointed it out to me, and it was somebody that Wayne knew that bought it, or somebody bought it on eBay, and then it appeared on the Grant Guitars Facebook page, and it was like, oh no way, there's a bass version as well, cool. And it was like, and then when it came down, it was like, Wayne's like, that guy contacted me like 3 years later, you want to buy it? So I did, because I don't know why. Because I've got the guitar. I did actually, to be honest, I got rid of it. I basically traded this for the single pickup guitar version, because I sold that and used the money to buy this. Or to be honest, I bought this first and then felt really bad about it, so I sold the other one for the same as I got this for. So I punted it and ended up with so I've got the 3. This one, single humbucker, but this colour one exactly the same as that, but in cherry red, and then that one I bought last year just out of curiosity. It was I don't know. The thing is that the guy who had this is again, it was a guy contacted the Facebook page because Wayne runs the Yoshi page as well, whereas it's the only place you'll find any pictures of these. And I just kind of looking at it, I knew what it was. It's not in great condition. It's got quite a lot of chips out it. I coloured in a lot of chips around the outside with red pen, so you can't see them from miles away, but they're still there. I think it had a tuner missing. The wiring was shot. You know, it was like, but it was just. And the guy's like, "How much is it worth?" And it was like, I'm sorry, they're not. I mean, this should be like a £300-400 guitar straight up, but it's a Yoshi. Yeah, as in I've not heard of it. So I ended up. I mean, the thing is like, and the guy's like, I might get it fixed in a shop. He was going to get it fixed in a shop and then get the shop to sell it, and then the shop would take a cut, and it was just. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't want it, but I mean, someone's getting ripped off here, because I mean, if you take that into a shop, to get a tuner, it's going to be like £100 bill on it, and I'm not sure it would sell for more than £100, which is it's really stupid. But I mean, that's just the way it is, So that's the thing. I mean, I'm not very good. I'm not a good guitar salesman. People who are good guitar salesmen have lots of Squiers and Epiphone Les Pauls, and they'll say, "Oh, this is a great Epiphone Les Paul. This is a Samick one from 1998. Blah 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 blah. £500," which is fair enough because that's what they go for. Whereas my interpretation of that guitar is, yeah, these go for £500. Why? It's like every guitar I've got in here is better than it. Like, not that much better. Everyone's twice as good as it straight up. And you're like, right, but it's to sell things that are worth money or to sell things that are good. This would definitely be in the, wow, what an amazing bass. I mean, even if you paid £300 or £400 for one of these, it's still a significantly better bass than if you bought like a P bass or anything else. Epiphone EBO. What I mean? Something like that. So keep your eye open on Facebook Marketplace, and maybe not car boot sales. Well, I don't know, in this condition I don't think you would get one really, really super cheap. A couple of dents, and it's a P bass. I meant to have dents. Maybe a bit missing. There's nothing really on it that's unreplaceable. It's not okay. If one of these saddles is missing, you can just buy a P bass bridge for like £12, put it on it. Doesn't make that much difference. In tuners as well, there's not really anything unique to it that's going to be difficult to get bits. But these are the ones, you're not going to really find somebody at a jumbo sale or a car boot sale or something selling an actual Fender or an actual Gibson, because they'll look at it and go, well, Fender, heard of them, Fender Stratocaster. This must, and they'll look it up. What is that? Grant? I don't know. It doesn't even, it's very 80s looking. So the chat, you might find one of these for peanuts, even cash converters, because what are cash converters going to look at it and say? It's going to be the same price as bog standard Gear for Music bass, isn't it? Or Harley Benton or something. It's going to be that price range. They're just going to go, oh, it's a 4-string bass. They're going to type in Grant guitars into completed listings. There won't be any. If there are any, there'll be nothing like this, or even remotely. I mean, it's like the commonality between this and the earlier Grant guitars is they say Grant on them, and they were bought by the same guy or the same company. That's it. No other common. It won't be the same factory, and it won't be the same anything else. But this is obviously one of those ideas. I just think that they've gone for, we'll make what's a really fucking amazing guitar, and we'll make it as cheaply as we can, but keeping the quality and the build really high. Hence the single pickup one. Single pickup one probably costs £50 less than the 2 pickup one. And those guitars, I don't know how much they were. Maybe they're £150. And you're getting like an actually really, really well built guitar. Or at the time you could buy a Les Paul copy which was shite, but looked like a Les Paul. Still the same thing we're going through now a little bit. And that turned into a bit of a rant. I don't know if I've got time to put this up. I'm going to fucking try, so this video might be a little bit late. Rock on. Cheers.